Did you see the Bloodborne 2 announcement?
Okay, everybody, welcome to the show. This is just after the Game Awards. So Ben and I both separately watched the Game Awards with Jeff Keighley. And this is kind of our thoughts, our recap on the show. So Ben, welcome to this show.
It's good to be back.
Hi.
The Game Awards post show.
Right.
Official.
Yes, right. Sponsored by Schick Hydroman.
Yeah, a lot less interesting ad placement. Unless you count the Muppets as ad placement, but I don't understand why they're even invited.
Well, then let's start with the Muppets. That's big news. Initially, I was like, Muppets? Why? But they actually...
You know, they did hit the nail on the head at some
Yes.
points of just like, we're wasting time. The awards are the secondary thing at the Game Awards. At least it wasn't like the one year where it was all space games the entire time.
What year was that?
I think it was 21. I think it was the year with the Callisto Protocol.
Oh,
where it's
yeah.
like space game.
This year, I think, would be anime games that I forgot after the trailer was over. There were like 20 of those.
It was JRPG Awards night.
And I don't even know if all of them were JRPG. I know they were the J, but as far as RPG, I couldn't even tell you what any of those games were because half of them didn't actually show gameplay. It just
I don't know if they might have. I don't know what I'm looking at half the time.
That's true.
It looked like Code Vein, like that kind of game. If like anime,
that's like a Dark
Souls.
That's like a Dark Souls thing.
But like that's the only other thing I can imagine it being, besides just being another
Run around
metaphor refantasio ripoff.
Well, yeah. Well, that's more of a Persona thing. It's made by the Persona guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of when you're just looking at something and you're just so disassociated with it, there were a lot of like just cinematic trailers with no gameplay at all. And it's like, how are we still doing this? Is this 2012? Like, like just showing, oh, look how cool this is. Like the one with the Russo brothers where they came in and they're like, we directed this trailer or something and we're super excited about it. It was like, okay, but what's the game?
Exactly. Like the one thing I can't believe is the game that would have been just trailer, no gameplay shown, that Death Stranding 2 didn't make any appearance other than it was mentioned that Hideo Kojima's working on it. If I would have bet anything for the Game Awards, it would have been we are getting the release date for Death Stranding 2 tonight.
Because
nothing.
Jeff and Hideo Kojima are friends.
Which the Muppets reference.
Yes, which is so great.
And like, I hope Hideo understood that too.
Well, when they cut to him, he was like, what? But he I'm sure he knows English, he just doesn't speak it. So I'm sure he did pick up on that. But that was funny when they're like, did you know that Jeff Keighley and Hideo Kojima are friends? And then he's like, do you think Kojima knows that? Which is like, that's pretty good.
I mean,
I like that a lot.
There's some meta dialogue going on with the Muppets that goes way far beyond anything that anyone said during that show.
We may as well just get to it with Shadow of the Erdtree.
The controversy.
I'm not a Elden Ring hater. I don't think
Elden Ring lover.
Yes, it's not. I don't think it's physically documented yet. But long story short, I'm a huge Dark Souls fan. Love Dark Souls 1. Really love 2. Love 3. Really like Demon Souls. Was really looking forward to Elden Ring. Did not love it. Did not do a lot of things that I wanted it to do. Whatever. Despite me still really liking the game, I was kind of rooting against Shadow of the Erdtree.
So was I, and I loved Shadow of the Erdtree. Because I was thinking about it recently, where going in when they announced that it was a nominee, I'm like, it's big enough. Like, think about like World of Warcraft, like Wrath of the Lich King, like how much content that brings. But then I started thinking about it like, if we're talking about expansions that are for games that you cannot play, they're not standalone expansions, which we can talk about. The new standalone Elden Ring expansion that got announced tonight.
Yeah, we'll get to that.
But like, if you think about ones like that, like, does Fallout 4 Far Harbor, that's a non-standalone expansion. Should that be considered for Game of the Year? So I think about that, and I'm like, of course that shouldn't be considered. Or even in the same universe, like Bloodborne: The Old Hunters, which I loved. Should that be considered? Of course not. So the more, like, small I got with it, it's like, yeah, of course Shadow of the Erdtree is like 30 hours long or 40 hours long, but no. The more I think about it, no, it should not be there because it's a add-on. It's not a game in itself. So when it lost, I was like, good. And of all games for it to lose to, Astrobot was my hope going in, because I'm like, if it's Metaphor ReFantazio, I have nothing to say for this whole thing because I don't know anything about that game other than it's a Persona game.
Astrobot isn't really an underdog, but it kind of felt like an underdog. I think it was just because it was a family game and a really cutesy. It's not just like the big game with the big guy with the big sword. Yeah, it's just a cutesy little game. So it did get me a little giddy that it did win.
I physically
Shadow of the Erdtree
pumped my fist into the air when they said Astrobot. I was like, yes!
More with Shadow of the Erdtree. I don't really think there's much more to say because I think everybody on the internet is in agreement where it's like, just have a category for DLC.
Best expansion.
Right.
And
I think it also has to do with the fact that it's the game is already done. It's just more stuff to a game that already exists rather than something that was built mostly or whatever from scratch like the other nominees. And this one was just a little code that was sprinkled onto an already existing base game.
Yep. And while, like I said, Shadow of the Erdtree is awesome, it doesn't belong on that list. And it took the place of a game that did belong on there, which was Silent Hill 2.
Oh.
Gone. Not on the list. About Silent Hill 2, my game of the year that should have been on the list was nominated. So I went through a roller coaster with this because it was nominated for 4 awards. And it started off with the one I thought had the least chance, which was James Sunderland's Actor. I'm like, I hope he wins, but, I won't be mad if it loses. He lost. Then it was Best Sound Design, and I'm like, well, it's up against Black Ops 6, and it's not going to beat that. Come on. Call of Duty has some great sound design. I was not expecting Silent Hill 2, even though it has great sound design, to win. Then I'm like, all right, we're getting into the one, Best Score. And I'm like, come on. It has my favorite soundtrack in any game ever. It's gotta win. No, loses. And then what someone would say, oh, well, Ben, it's a remake. It's the same music as before. It can't win. It's a remake. You know what beat it? Final Fantasy VII Remake Rebirth.
Right. Yes.
So you can't even make that argument for it. And I'm like, all right, fine. It still has one more. Narrative. It has my favorite story in any game ever. Yeah. And it loses again.
Yeah,
it's like, why is it even here? Don't torture me with this.
Just like James is tortured.
Yeah, it's like I'm in this eternal torturous state.
For audio design, it lost to Hellblade 2.
Hellblade should have won that. I mean, that whole
and they do
game
like
is
spatial audio and it's partially based on that concept.
Yeah.
So
that
that's probably
an Xbox game is so weird because like Xbox games to me don't have that kind of like granular design where it feels like more like a Sony game where it goes really deep into being like a artistic kind of game.
Yeah,
Indiana Jones feels more like a Microsoft game, where this is like such a weird little side project. That's it's Microsoft barely funded this.
It's barely Xbox because it wasn't, and then they paid the cash for
Ninja Theory or
Team
Ninja or whatever.
It's like Ninja Theory. Team Ninja is Neo, which I thought was here for a second. When
Didn't they do some? I saw Team Ninja, I thought, on the screen at one point, and I'm like, yep, Neo. Through my phone.
I think it was maybe. No, it was there was one that looked like Neo, but it was a Capcom game.
It was Onimusha.
Yeah.
Where I was like,
right.
I thought it was a Sekiro sequel at first. I'm like, no way that they're going to do that and not do Bloodborne.
I was really hoping that it was Neo 3. But that's fine.
You got it. It's not Black Myth Wukong. Wolong Fallen Dynasty. Right. There you go.
So Onimusha, that looks awesome. This genre of like ancient-ish Japanese action combat games, there's so many of them now. And we couldn't even think of the one that Koei Tecmo and Team Ninja did.
Wolong Fallen Dynasty.
Yeah. Wolong. Yeah. Yes. I was mixing that up with Wukong, Black Myth Wukong.
Well, that's just poor name, like the Outer Worlds and Outer Wilds coming out in the same year.
That's just a weird thing.
Which the Outer Worlds do as well.
Yes. But I thought that trailer was fantastic for
I thought so too. It's like
very funny and self-aware.
Mm-hmm. And like that they said Fallout New Vegas verbally at a show like this, which they didn't say Bloodborne. But yeah, the Outer Worlds, which Logan talked about on the first episode, it's like I like it a lot more than he does. It's a really cool Fallout-y kind of. I think it's better than Starfield, which is in it's.
I think a lot of people would. I think a lot of people would agree with that.
I think this is a great example of hopefully the first game setting a foundation where the sequel is going to totally take it over the edge to be which they literally said in the trailer,
right. They're like,
that this is what it was supposed
guns.
to be.
Yes, yeah, what the first game should have been or whatever. Yeah, I really liked that trailer.
And they have Avowed coming out too in like 3 months.
Yeah, apparently that's going to be really good.
Yeah, the previews were like so much better than I was expecting.
Right.
Which
I
don't
think
know if
it just
going for the humor like in the original or like all their other kinds of games. Because Obsidian does that a lot.
I think a lot of, or at least me personally, I think a lot of the, I don't want to say skepticism, but doubts for the game was just that setting wise, it just kind of seemed really generic and like, it's like, a first person game where you use magic and whatever. Like, I don't know, but apparently it's good. And Obsidian doing what they do best.
Yeah, it takes place in, I think it's Pillars of Eternity. It's Obsidian's own franchise. It takes place in that universe. So there's a very defined world that is taking place in, which is really cool that if you play those games, you get a lot of extra, but you don't have to, which is great. So Avowed is like, I don't know. One thing I wanted to say about the Game Awards in general was like a lot of years in the past, I leave the Game Awards being like, okay, there's one thing that I'm really excited for that's coming up from this, like the Callisto Protocol, which turned out to be amazing.
And everybody's still talking about it to this day.
But like, at least with that, I left like, I cannot wait for that. But leaving this show, it's like the new Naughty Dog game.
Right.
But we know nothing about it really other than it's in space.
The one more thing, my brain immediately thought it was going to be Nintendo, which Nintendo didn't show anything really. There were some games that are going to be on Switch, but they didn't show anything. But as soon as they showed the character model, and my brain was just really like analyzing it visually, immediately I was like, oh, that's got to be Naughty Dog, and it ended up being it for sure.
You spent so much time with The Last of Us Part 2.
I did. Like
I think that animation better than anybody.
Real life days playing that. But it looks pretty cool. Like, and seeing the ship and it said Porsche on the back, I'm like, what? And then there was like a Sony radio or whatever it was, or the disc changer thing. I'm sure there's a lot of Easter eggs in what those discs were too.
Oh, I'm sure. It reminds me of like Death Stranding with the product placement, like monster cans being in it and all that stuff. But it's like, I think there's a line of it being distracting.
Yeah, it like lends itself to it being a greater world, I think, in that way, rather than it just saying nothing or whatever. Like it makes it feel a little more tactile.
Yeah,
like
and it has game. like it's from our world to it, not just because of the brand placement, but like it looks old but futuristic at the same time. Like it's like that like scrappy kind of feel to it. It's not just like super future like cyberpunk.
Yep. They didn't really show gameplay, but they showed like a glimpse of what gameplay is going to be, which looks to be a third-person action game. She's got a sword, so I'm in.
Like, is it going to be Soulsy? Is it going to be like Devil May Cry? Is it going to be like Stellar Blade? Who knows? We don't know for like 7 years probably.
No, but I'm interested to see what they do. It said Jeff said that they'd been working on it since 2020.
Yeah, I liked hearing that. It's like, okay, this isn't something they started last year.
Right, so
they should be some way into being done with
like
it.
We should probably see it within a couple of years. I'm just happy that it's probably not going to be like huge, expansive, gigantic RPG thing. Like, I don't want that. I really don't want it. Just wanted to keep it really tight, tell a cool story, be cool, look cool, and it looks to be that. So and it's kind of funny that we chose Jak and Daxter to be on the TV today, and here we go.
And Jak and Daxter popped up in text in the
trailer. They did acknowledge that it existed.
Cool that they are like from the developers of and not just The Last of Us, which is the obvious choice of like we made The Last of Us, but like go back to Crash Bandicoot, which is so cool that they referenced that.
Yeah, it's interesting that they can legally acknowledge that too, since they don't even own Crash in any capacity. Yeah, because Universal picked them up afterwards, and then another owned by Activision, which is in part owned by
Call
Xbox.
Of
Duty. And
Call of Duty owns Crash.
So Crash is a Call of Duty product now. So, they showed The Last of Us 2 remastered, and my brain, I just can't keep track of all that shit anymore. So I was like, has this been a thing? I honestly had no idea.
Oh yeah, it's been out for like 8 months.
Yeah.
One thing I thought was weird with that trailer was they were really liberal with spoilers in that trailer,
I guess they're assuming that most people have played it at this point.
or have seen all the discourse about it. And
Yeah,
they're like, you know what? It's like when the Part 1 remake got leaked.
Yes.
And he comes out on stage like, well, everybody knows it
Yeah,
anyway.
yeah.
Who cares?
When did they show that?
It was like a summer game fest. And it
Yeah.
was the one, I couldn't
Oh, yeah,
believe it
that's
was the
right.
one last thing. We're remaking a game that was remastered 5 years ago.
Nonsense.
But as far as games that got announced that were already kind of announced, as far as starting off with a bang, showing The Witcher 4 first thing, I was like, oh my God, if this is how this show is going to be, it wasn't how the show was going to be.
But
it
again,
was huge.
It was a cool trailer, but again,
Yep. That's
it's
not
just
what the game looks like.
Yeah, it's just a CGI trailer. So like, I don't care. And that's not even what cutscenes are going to look like, presumably.
No, all the cutscenes in The Witcher 3, which I have explained my woes with that game, are all in-engine and look bad.
I guess it doesn't really matter because we know what the game is probably going to look like anyway. We know what gameplay looks like. So this is just little sprinkles on top for people that want to know what the narrative direction of the game is going to be. So I guess that's kind of fine. But for the games that they show where they're new games and we have no idea what they are, after the trailer, we still have no idea what they are. We know what they're going to be kind of about.
Yeah, for me, as soon as it's one of those trailers, other than The Witcher 4, which I thought the trailer itself was super entertaining, but like the ones, like for me, the new Naughty Dog game, it's like, remind me when they show some gameplay or do another trailer or something.
Right.
I don't remember the name of that game. What's the name of that game? Don't look.
Intergalactic something of the Prophet.
Look it up.
I think.
I think you're right on Intergalactic.
Intergalactic, the Heretic Prophet. So I was close.
You were like 75% of the way there with the title.
They should really have just called it Intergalactic. I don't know why there's a... they put a subtitle in the event that they make sequels.
They did, or he did say a new series when Jeff was talking about it. When Jeff was telling me about it, he said it was a new series.
He was like, Ben, listen.
He's like, you're going to be playing multiple of these over the next 20 years.
Overall, the show, though, I think was good. And I think Jeff gets way too much shit online for no reason. It's all unsubstantiated, I think, just because people like to make fun of the fact that he actually tries really hard and maybe he stumbles sometimes, but he actually really does put in a solid effort to put on a good show and represent games in a serious manner, but not be too like sometimes he was too serious about it and sometimes he was too goofy about it. I think this show had a good balance of like just a really professional show, which with some good announcements, and I think he overall did a good job. The stage was really nice and beautiful.
Insane.
The screen behind it was beautiful.
It's
for
like
all
a
that.
$2 million setup behind them. It's insane.
Yeah. Looked really good. I thought the show overall was good.
Yeah, I would say while there are different shows that have better announcements, it wasn't the biggest show they've ever done, but as far as like moment to moment professionalism, it's probably the best one they've ever done. There weren't any issues. Nobody stormed the stage.
No. Yeah.
Joseph Ferris didn't say, he said some crazy stuff, but nothing as crazy as the first time he was on there.
I just can't get behind that guy. I just don't know. He's just too obnoxious. I like him, I guess.
Well, now he plays it up. Now I'm the crazy guy.
Yeah, right.
I said in the notes that I took with it, I'm like, swearing is funny.
Yeah.
Because that was like a thing that he did.
Right.
But like,
and then it was even in the trailer where he said, "Oh, motherfucker. I mean, let's move on."
But honestly, that game, I'm pretty excited for that one. Because It Takes Two, which Game of the Year 2020 or 2021, insane that game won Game of the Year. That must have been a shitty year that I'm forgetting if that game
Metroid
won.
Dread came out in 21.
Okay, so that's a sin that game won. But I liked it. I just hated the storyline, and I hated the book that would come out and sing to you. Yeah. But this game looks... Well, what I liked was the gameplay and the structure of that game, that it was always changing and coming up with new situations and totally different gameplay styles. This game is that again, but not stupid with its storyline.
Right. Hazelight Studio. They seem like a cool studio, and they like want to innovate, and they're like, one person only needs to buy the game and both people can play it. That's cool. That's all great. I didn't love It Takes Two, and I had the same exact issues, except they were way bigger to me because from the beginning, and I'm never like this, I was like, Jasmine, let's just skip all these cutscenes. I I don't care. She's like, no,
They're so good.
Yeah,
He's funny.
We gotta do it right. Needless to say, by the end, she was like, God, we should have skipped these cutscenes, but we're too deep now. We gotta know.
We gotta know if they get back together.
Yeah,
and I don't remember if they do, to be honest with you.
Horrible story. They do get back together. They should have split because they should have split. That would have been a much more creative adult ending where it's like, you know what? Maybe we're not made for each other, but you know what? We're gonna really buckle down and take care of our child, and that's the adult thing to do. But we can still be set. But they're like, no, we love
I love
each
you
other.
again.
Yeah, terrible ending, terrible story. Hate it. Anyway, this new game does look cool, but what I noticed is that like the movement of the characters and the graphics and the camera angle, it's all the exact same as It Takes Two. It all looks the exact, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it's just like, you know that every time they make a co-op game, all the ideas that they couldn't put in the last one, they in some way they're gonna kind of implement in the next one, which is fine. The game looks cool. I just don't know that I'm super excited about it, just because I was pretty lukewarm on It Takes Two in general, even though the moment-to-moment gameplay was most of the time really fun.
As far as game of the years from past years, like I've thought recently about like, are there any that made sense at the time and you look back and it's like, I mean, It Takes Two is the crazy one that is like ridiculous. But I look back on like 2015, which The Witcher 3 again beat Bloodborne, which is a game that we talk about every day of our lives. I don't talk about The Witcher 3, and not a lot of people that talk to me talk. It's a beloved game.
Yeah,
but
I think different circles of people talk about that though.
Well, not my circles.
Yeah,
the correct
none
circles.
of us really talk about it.
But like 2014 was Dragon Age Inquisition, which no one talks about that game either.
Yeah.
And then the Veilguard, like, didn't even get nominated for Game of the Year this year.
It got nominated for Best RPG, I think.
Yeah, and it lost to Metaphor. I think.
Which
everything lost to Metaphor except Astrobot.
Right. I'm glad that did sweep, even though I don't know really anything about it. But
I know nothing.
But I'm just glad that a new game, not something with a 2 next to it, won. You know what I mean? But even though it is just like a newer Persona kind of game, I don't know. Whatever. Veilguard apparently stinky though.
I've heard a lot of different opinions about it, that it's like it doesn't do the original games justice in any way. It doesn't feel as connected as like Dragon Age Origins and Dragon Age 2, and even though everyone hates Dragon Age 2, but Dragon Age Inquisition felt like a good step forward from those games, where the Veilguard doesn't do anything interesting and new.
The meta score, so this is critic score, is 82 on it. User score 3.8.
I think that has a lot to do with some cutscenes that were released for that game that are
like
very like
people are like, well, that happened, kind of thing.
Yeah, like
he's right. He's not right behind me, is he?
A lot of like modern Gen Z millennial humor that's like horrible.
Yep.
That doesn't belong in a fantasy RPG like that.
Well, that just happened.
Oh my god. Did you see the Game of Thrones game that got announced?
Yes, I did.
What a disaster.
No!
That is the Walking Dead Two Destinies, the Lord of the Rings Gollum level trash. What the hell was that?
I'm not totally against it. It depends. So
Dude.
if it's a Warner Brothers game, but if it's developed by Warner Brothers WB Games, like the guys that did Shadow of Mordor, it might be good.
No. Did you watch the same trailer that I saw?
They didn't show like gameplay though.
They did.
They just showed like
they showed
scenes.
in-engine like fighting. It's like all these games that like try to like put you in a story that already exists.
Yeah, that
like
is
the
weird.
Walking Dead game that came out, where it's like you can choose if Rick kills this guy or whatever, and then it changes the storyline.
Huh?
You know what I'm talking about?
No,
it's literally.
I'm old now. I don't know.
Every time I'm here, I have to educate you. This game came out this year. I think it's called The Walking Dead 2 Death. Check out the name so I know what I'm talking about. But like, it's like a what if scenario kind of game where it's like, what if the guy from, the guy's like, wait,
John Bernthal.
Where he's in season 2. What if he doesn't die and he does this other thing and Rick dies?
Walking Dead Destinies.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought would be good if it was the Game of Thrones game. Like if they were just like, Season 7, Stinky, but you can make it better.
They rewrite the end of the. I mean, I'd be more interested in
that's
that.
what I'm saying.
But like the scenes they showed are like the good part of the show. Like when they go to the north with Jon Snow and stuff. Why does like the world of Game of Thrones? Like look at House of the Dragon. It doesn't have to have Jon Snow in it to be good. There is this huge world that they could explore in Game of Thrones.
It's not impossible to make new and interesting characters in a world that already exists.
Like the Elder Scrolls.
But
every game doesn't have any characters that transfer.
But
over
they
to
just
it.
decided to skip that and just use Jon Snow.
And they used the easy route to make a terrible. Mark my words.
What?
Check the Metascore for that game when it comes
Listen,
out.
I agree with
50.
you. All I'm saying is that
what a disaster.
Combat might be fun. You know what I thought looked horrible? Squid Game the game looks like utter trash.
Yeah, I forgot. It was so bad, I forgot.
Horrible trash. So they all come out. Obviously, Squid Game the game. Netflix games, which they recently shut down one of their studios that was developing something. And then they're like, oh, you know, we actually are making a game. And it looks like trash.
iOS
yes.
2012
like
game.
Fall Guys ripoff. Like it's not even like interesting. I didn't watch the show. I know everybody else on the planet did. But I'm assuming it's a little more violent than Fall Guys probably is.
Much more violent than Fall Guys.
But like this just looked like goofy cartoon graphics, just lowest common denominator. They're like, what is a genre of game we could easily develop? And what is a property that we have that people like that this would work with? And that's how that happened. That happened at a boardroom.
Together in 3 months.
Yeah, that's a boardroom game for sure. Just utter garbage.
But you don't even need Netflix to play it.
Yeah, free. Play it free.
But you can buy skins for your squid.
How embarrassing. That was so embarrassing. And because it had such a stage presence, I was like, what is this? Garbage.
Well, that's how Jeff Keighley puts these shows together.
Gotta get that cash.
Which, I mean, he has to fund. Did you see the backdrop?
Yes.
How do they build that?
It was insane.
Squid Game put that together.
Yes.
Because he has, and that's the thing, like you're saying, that he gets so much unnecessary shit. Where it's like people who are like, oh, the Schick Hydro Man bullshit. It's like, they probably gave him like $10 million to do that.
Yeah.
So then he could put this show together.
And we're still talking about Schick Hydro Man
I don't even
10 years later.
I use that exclusively.
Right.
Because of that. I mean, the guy has to get some credit for putting together a show that is absolutely like it's like the Grammys, it's the Oscars. This is the best show. And fuck everybody who talks shit about him.
Completely
fuck
agree.
you if you talk shit about Jeff Keighley.
I completely agree.
Defend. We need to protect him.
The first game that was showed,
Ninja Gaiden.
I was actually really excited about. And it's like a 2D, and I hate using this term, Metroidvania style of game. Which, sure, why the heck not? Apparently, Prince of Persia: The Lost Crown is really good. So you can take a big genre or big brand game like Ninja Gaiden, which they haven't touched for like 20 years.
Was it 3 was the last one? Razor's Edge on the Wii U?
I guess so. This 2D game actually looks pretty cool. Like I'm intrigued. That's another genre where there's a million billion of them. So I'm always super hesitant to even, like whenever there's one out, and they always get 85 plus on Metacritic. So I'm always just like, do I like the art style, and am I interested in, so it's got to really hit a lot of buttons, and this one looked to kind of go there. Best VR goes to Arkham Shadow.
Of course.
And yeah, nothing else on that list I think stood a chance.
No. And like, can you believe that in the year that Rocksteady releases Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League, that game is not even mentioned? And a VR game made by a studio you've never heard of wins an award, and it's a Batman Arkham game.
Yep.
Insane.
Yeah.
And no one's ever going to play it because it's a MetaQuest 3 exclusive, but apparently it's really good.
Yeah, right. Wait, it's a 3 exclusive? Oh, man, I was looking forward
3.
to play it on my 2.
Yep. I would have played it too, but nope. I get that
the Quest 3 is really nice.
Yeah, I wanted an Apple Vision Pro for a long time because I'm an Apple shill, but I mean, the Quest 3, I guess, just is that, but literally like a fifth of the price.
Isn't it like 35 or something?
Yes, 3,500, and the MetaQuest 3 is like 500, and it has the see-through.
Yep, it's
everything.
Really good.
Yeah,
like,
I want
really
one,
good.
but it's like, I'm gonna play Batman Arkham Shadow, and then it goes in the closet, and I never
and then you play
again.
RE4 VR again. I play that a lot. Now listen to this. Pac-Man.
Yeah, what the fuck
What?
was that?
I was like, is this a joke? Even though it doesn't look bad.
Was
but like,
it Pac-Man?
Yes.
I was like, I was looking at that like, there's no way that's what I'm seeing right now.
Because
I'm like,
the character like gets out of a ship and then there's this yellow ball that's sitting off screen. I'm like, don't. And it goes. It's like it's little robot, your little robot friend, but it's like a Metroidvania style game.
I don't know, man. That's like a weird, like,
I'm really
we
interested.
live in a weird universe that game exists.
It's called Shadow Labyrinth, like, because you.
That's pretty cool.
I'll
I'll give it to him as far as an interesting idea with an existing IP that no one would have ever thought of. That's a pretty cool idea.
Yes, so I'm looking forward to it. I'm interested in what it's going to be. PlayStation game that they showed, Midnight Murder Club, which was like a co-op, like you're going in a mansion and it's dark and you got a flashlight and
that
like
looked fun.
One person is a ghost. It might be like Phasmophobia or something.
Probably not. I mean, or probably not scary is what I'm going to say. Like Phasmophobia is like true horror incarnate, where this game looks like a more Hello or a Secret Neighbor style game from the Hello Neighbor universe.
Sure.
So you know it's gonna be good.
Like Prop Hunt or something like that, where if one person is controlling the ghost or whatever it is.
That's fun.
But it looked like a big budget, actual kind of game. So
there was a game that they showed off that was, I think it was the one that's made by the Deus Ex developer.
Yeah.
Or like that guy. That game,
Thick as Thieves.
No joke, looks like Hello Neighbor.
like the art style, you mean?
No, like how the player controls and everything. I'm like, this is Hello Neighbor.
Well, they didn't really show the gameplay because I think it was a fake, like,
it looked like
first-person
gameplay,
trailer.
and then they would change it to be Killzone 2 E3.
Oh.
Like, it would be real, and then they would, like, make it a little fantasy reality, and then it'd go back to being real. I swear to God, if you put that next to Hello Neighbor,
I believe you.
It's the same game.
I believe you.
So I'm totally in.
But that looked you're totally in because of that.
I can't wait, dude.
It's going to be an immersive sim thing, obviously, so I'm interested in it at least.
But it's multiplayer, which I feel like hurts that a lot.
Then that makes me feel like it's going to be
Secret Neighbor.
No, shut up. What was Arcane's? Deathloop.
Note, yeah.
Deathloop. Yeah. It's giving me Deathloop vibes.
Which that game almost won Game of the Year it came out.
It's like the best game nobody's ever played, but everybody loves, I guess. There was a lot of self-awareness in this one. And they weren't like in previous years where it's like games are so important and they change lives and blah, blah, blah. And so there was a lot less of that. He did get a little emotional when they showed Okami sequel.
Yeah. As far as emotional stuff, when that guy won the Game Changer Award, dude, that got me. I was tearing up.
Yeah, really?
That was so good.
Oh, yeah, that was an
it.
excellent Amir Satvat. What is his name?
What a great guy.
Really, really good.
Mm-hmm.
And as soon as I saw him walking up, I'm like, don't.
I'm like,
don't.
Jesus.
I was like,
I can't do this right now.
Don't screw it up, dude. Like, world's biggest stage right now.
Mm-hmm.
But he did good. It was all good.
Yep.
Nothing. There were no disasters.
No, and
this time around. Like they tightened the thing up.
I mean, there were moments with the security, like escorting people off the stage. Like half the people who won an award were going to walk back down the stairs, and they'd be like, "Nope, nope."
Right.
Go over there. Go to the circle inside.
When he mentioned Mr. PlayStation Man, he walked up to the stage like he was going up. He did not get the memo. And Jeff was just like still talking there, but you saw that he walked to the base of the stage, but they didn't let him up.
And they're
he
just
got
like,
confused.
"Hey, he's here." And he's like, "What's
Thanks.
up, guys?"
But then he started like,
yeah.
excuse me. And Jeff started sweating.
He's like, "Not again. You're not going to ruin my show.
You
just started.
Yeah, you made the PlayStation, whatever. Fuck off and sit down. God damn it.
He was going to come announce Bloodborne too.
Damn it.
That's why I was walking up there.
Damn it.
And they're like, "Nah, yeah, we don't deserve it as a species."
Yeah. The Sifu studio is making a soccer game that looks actually kind of fun. I've never played FIFA, but any sports game I've played, I feel like I don't really have that much control of the player character. But at least in this one, like it seemed like you could do a bunch of stuff. And
it's more like Rocket League is what I kind of saw, where you have that much control over your character.
Yeah.
Where like FIFA it's just this isometric view where you change characters randomly.
Yeah, and like you're doing like playbook style things.
That's no fun.
Yeah, I don't really care for that.
Although
either.
FC25 did win best sports racing game.
Yeah. Three 2K games got nominated for.
Well, there wasn't a Forza game this year.
Right.
So, which is the automatic shoe-in racing game to win, but
yeah, the Muppets roasting Jeff was great. Saying like, "Oh, the show is too long," but they actually call out that Shadow the Erdtree was nominated and it's a DLC and that it's ridiculous.
I can't believe I missed that.
You didn't see it?
I didn't grasp that. That's awesome.
That was right before they announced Game of the Year. So they're like, "Oh yeah, it's almost over," and they made a couple of jokes and this and that, and they're like, I can't remember exactly the joke they made. You'll have to look it up, but they did say something about Shadow the Erdtree being nominated and that it's stupid. They said something else about Jeff to his face too. Like, so that all was really enjoyable.
Yeah, the Muppets, that's the best Muppets experience I've ever had in my life. Like, they were so good with those roasts for him. And the one thing is the Elden Ring thing that got announced that looks not that interesting.
Oh, yeah.
I don't even remember what it's called.
Elder Ding Nightreign.
What a boring ass name.
Yeah, like, just means nothing.
Cool.
They
Veilguard.
The Nameless King is in the fucking trailer.
Like that's like, okay, so is it like a what if scenario where they're pulling from different Souls games and stuff? I'm like, what is this?
And he was just there, but like it wasn't like Nameless King and he has a moment. He was just like there, and it's like if you notice.
If you know, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, when I saw the Nameless King, I'm like, why are you here? This isn't Dark Souls. Like, so weird and just like, why does this exist?
It might have been a Bandai Namco thing where it's like, more money, make us more money. But is it like a new game?
Jeff made sure to say a standalone thing when they announced it.
So it's a new game.
Then it can be nominated next year.
But it is another game then.
Yeah,
it's like a $40 kind of game thing.
That's what I think of as like, is this going to have a physical release in my physical collector brain?
Maybe it'll be like a Uncharted Lost Legacy kind of thing where it's like some of the same areas, same exact engine, obviously, but a little different with some different people.
I can't think of a concept for an Elden Ring Soulsborne Sekiro game that I could be less interested in than this concept.
But it looked to be very co-op.
That's its thing. It's a co-op experience.
Okay.
Which it's like, so me being solo man who never plays with anybody, this game is not for me. It's like, okay, I'll skip it.
Yeah.
Where's Bloodborne? It could be more like a boss rushy kind of thing, because they didn't really say. I mean, it was mostly bosses that they showed, and a lot of which I've seen before, including the Nameless King. But I was like, this just feels like a weird asset reuse thing for more money.
I want to mention Indiana Jones and the Golden Circle, which is apparently Great Circle. It's not golden; it's great, which is apparently great.
Yeah.
Have you played it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm wrong. I know I'm wrong.
You hate it.
I got really bored with it after like 2 hub worlds. I think you would like it. I think it's made for you. It's made by Machine Games, which I love Wolfenstein 2, The New Colossus. So when this game got announced, I'm like, I wish it was Wolfenstein 3, but I'll give it a try. It's much more, it's not what you would think it is, where you would think it's like, oh, it's just a shooty Uncharted kind of game. It's like going in with disguises into like solve mysteries and stuff like that. There is combat, and the combat is so easy. Oh my God. And the AI is terrible.
I watched the IGN review, which the dude goes into pretty good detail on that. I guess there's different levels of difficulty you can adjust for every single thing, but like they want you to go like this, and like using guns makes everybody else use guns. But it's like, why wouldn't they use guns anyway?
Mm-hmm.
It's just
they're on a level playing field with you. But
I guess it's one of those gamey things where they had to figure out a way, and then you have like an arbitrary stamina meter. So I don't know what that's all about.
I just walk up to people, and I play it on hard. I just walk up to them, and I'm like, punch, 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 punch. They're dead. Like, you don't die in this game. I don't heal in that game. And like, I don't know. It's one of those things like The Witcher 3. I know I'm wrong. everybody loves it except me. I'm the idiot. But I bounced off of it.
Yeah.
So.
And I thought it was hilarious
He's
when
Joel.
Troy Baker comes
How
out.
cool is that?
He's so cool.
And he's Booker.
And he's hot.
He wears scarves and everything.
Did you see his pants? His pants were like up to here. I don't know if that was an indie reference, but then Harrison Ford comes out and he doesn't know where he is, which was
thinks
great.
He's in the retirement home. I was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And then he's just standing there like lost. And I'm like, oh, this isn't as cool as I thought.
Yeah, and
it
he's
was.
like, do the prompter thing because I guess
why am I here?
Yeah.
Oh, best the game. Best game.
Yeah, he's like, where the fuck am I? I think her name's Melina something, the winner of the performance award from Hellblade.
Yeah.
And he says Melinda. So good. I love it.
That's classic Harrison Ford.
Yeah, I just
love it. I don't know. I mean, it was so cool for 10 seconds. And then he spoke.
Yeah. But I thought he was going to screw up more colossally than he did. So nice job, Harrison Ford.
Shout out Harrison Ford.
Best action game was Black Myth Wukong.
The only reason I haven't played it is because it didn't get a physical release
yet
until now.
Yeah, I want to get on that one for sure.
Apparently it's amazing.
I don't know if a Chinese dev has won a game award before. Probably not, because China doesn't really make very many games.
They just make like phone games.
Well, yeah. Yeah, so good for them on that. But Black Myth Wukong and like Stellar Blade are both like character action focused games that I really want to play and I just haven't yet.
Yeah, Stellar Blade is kind of Soulsy in its design of having like waypoints that you're going to. You sit down, enemies respawn, you level up at the hubs that you go to.
Yeah.
But it's a lot more like the combat feels a lot more like action, stylish action game.
Yeah, like Bayonetta.
Yeah, it's really cool. I did eventually bounce off of it because I got bored. That
sounds really fun.
It's really cool. I promise. I love the soundtrack to Stellar Blade though. It's so good and like just like relaxing and fun to listen to.
Yeah.
But the combat eventually did wear me out a little bit.
And that was nice that they gave people time to actually talk this year.
Yes. Oh my God.
Yeah.
I mean, last year was embarrassing. That was last year, right? Where
yes.
they had like it had to be 20 seconds.
Well, it was 2 years ago when Christopher Judge was on stage and he was like, I want to tell this story about my mom and I
want to tell a story about Call of Duty being short.
Or
that was the next year.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. That was really good though. Mm-hmm. When he roasted MW3 last year, but
and then the devs got offended by that too.
Did they really?
Yes. People were like, "Oh, if you want to talk shit, get hit, bitch." And it's like
slurps my Mountain Dew.
Yeah, and it's like, dude, did you play Modern Warfare 3?
Yeah, there shouldn't be any defenders of that.
Yeah, but the year that he talked for 10 minutes was kind of egregious.
Like, there's no excuse.
It's like so selfish of him. And I love Kratos. Like, I love his portrayal of Kratos, but like, dude, it's not so good that it's worth like 5% of the show is him talking about.
Well, it was his acceptance speech. So it was not just like the game was being celebrated, it was him being celebrated.
And he's like, you know what? We can stop talking about these other games.
Yeah.
My game is the best.
Right.
So everyone can just listen to me for 10 minutes.
Yeah, that was
insane.
That was egregious. But anyway, that was 2 years ago. Shadow of the Colossus game.
Yes.
What the hell is that?
I don't know.
That looks awesome. Like the character himself looked like Ico or Eco climbing up presumably a Robo Colossus, and then in the distance you see the black goo from Shadow of the Colossus. So I can only assume it's in. I mean, all of their games are in the same universe, so this is like future universe, whatever.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
The Last Guardian was like 2016, right?
Something like that.
Yeah,
that or 15.
It's
somewhere
been
around
like
there.
8 years.
Yeah.
Like, has this been in development for that long? Like, that's insane if it has been.
But those original ones, you know, obviously it's Team Ico, but that also had like Japan Studio attached to it in some way with Shuya Yoshida, I think. So, I don't know. But anyway, really intriguing. We're not going to find out what it is for a long time, probably.
No. That's when he was saying like, we're going to talk about games that are 2025, but we're going to talk about games even farther than that. And I'm like, I don't care about games farther than that. I don't want to think about something that's 2027.
Yeah, I know.
Like, tell me about it in 2026.
Right.
Tell me about something that's coming out this year.
The Fragpunk game. So that was first-person multiplayer shooter where you have like cards that are game modifiers. So like upside down gravity or like big head or small head or whatever. I can see that being anti-competitive, which might make it more fun for me. So
yeah, it seemed very welcoming.
Yeah.
Like that the skill ceiling isn't super high.
Yeah.
Which is fun. Like not every game has to be Rainbow Six.
Yeah, and not super sweaty, just
Yeah.
where it's like, haha, my head is small, so it's harder to shoot my head.
Yeah.
So that I thought looked really cool. I thought it was very interesting that they were leading. Jeff was leading, saying we're going to show gameplay for Borderlands 4 and Mafia, whatever. And it's like, I think Borderlands interest has significantly declined, but also Mafia interest has also significantly declined.
I don't think Mafia interest has ever been that high.
Right.
So maybe around Mafia 3's launch, people were hyped about it. No one really cared about the definitive edition.
Yeah, even though people said it was good. Yeah.
But Mafia 1 is one of those games that like people talk about like Deus Ex, like, oh, it's one of the best PC games from its era. But you go back to it and it's like controls like shit and it's not that interesting.
Think about it at the time though.
But right, where looking at it now, it sucks. But the definitive edition is a modern remake. That's a true remake of that game, and it's really cool. Mafia 2 is cool. Mafia 3 sucks. So going forward, it's like I hope they learn their lesson with that, and it's more in the vein of the definitive edition. But like the trailer for the Old Country or whatever it's called, it's like that meant nothing. It could have been a black screen for 2 minutes, and it would have meant the same to me.
It's very narrative focused, where I think people's problem with Mafia 3 wasn't the story, but just the game.
Gameplay is terrible.
Yeah, so they should have shown like, here's how fun it's gonna be.
Yeah,
they did not do that.
Those games aren't even fun to play. I mean, the draw for those games really is the story. So that's what is concerning about the Old Country.
They're just like GTA Light, though, right? Like
they're in the same vein of like
LA Noire.
You shoot. I would say it's more like LA Noire, where it's like you do shoot, you do drive, you can steal cars. Where GTA is more like fun, and like it's about the chaos of the gameplay. Where Mafia is way more narrative based. So with Mafia 3, even though it had a cool story, it was like so much side content was required to get you to the next narrative thing that people fell off of it, including myself. Where the definitive edition is more of you can play it like a linear game, which I hope is what the Old Country is. Which all I learned from it is welcome to the family, son. You're one of us.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeehaw. Human grease stain slime ball Randy Pitchford rolls onto stage looking like a pimp.
He's got his deck of cards and his little flame shooter that he's going to do some magic tricks.
Deck of cards?
He's a magician.
Oh.
Think about that.
I forgot about that.
Remember his flash drive?
Yes. Yes, but did that have any magician tricks on it? That's why it was so valuable.
The secrets to all the magic
that's
tricks
right.
on it.
Lost at a medieval times. True story. Look it up. So yeah, Borderlands 4 was one of the like headline games. And whatever, looks like a Borderlands game, but the last one, people hated the characters so much. I'm just surprised if anybody... Oh, and nobody talked in the trailer either. Like there wasn't any funny claptrap moment. It was just gameplay, and that was it.
Maybe all the talking from the movie made them realize like we don't need any characters. It's just about shooting stuff. That's all that people want.
Yeah, but those games are all about the lol, so random, rar, XD humor. So I'm surprised they didn't show any of that. But I was talking with Jasmine about this because she is a huge Borderlands 2 especially fan. Borderlands 3, she could not care less because the characters were so repulsive. And like I've seen a clip where the villains in that game are like, they say something to the effect of like, comment, and die, or something like that, where it's just so horrible. She said they're like podcasters or something like that. Something just
something
so
horrible.
Yeah. So anyway, I was implying that this new game is going to hinge on the likability of the characters, because the gameplay, you know exactly what it's going to be. It's going to be, shooty guns, lots of guns, and little quests and whatever. So that's already locked in. So if the characters are just horrible, maybe that's why they turned them off, because they're like, oh fuck, we know it's going to be bad already.
All we learned is there's a central bad guy who doesn't say anything, and he has a portal and a lot of enemy bad guys, and he doesn't like psychos because he crushes the mask to leave the past behind.
Yeah, did nothing. So thanks, Randy.
Yeah, what a nothing game. What a nothing everything from the moment he walked out.
Ugh. So gross.
Terrible.
Like he left a trail of slime behind him.
Who cares about Gearbox at all? They haven't done anything good since Borderlands 2. Aliens, Colonial Marines, Duke Nukem Forever, Borderlands the pre-sequel. Why do they exist?
Nobody knows.
Get out.
It's probably
what's the one game too? The multiplayer game that died when Overwatch came out?
Battleborn.
Yes. Why do they exist? It's a waste. It's like
it's probably
some money laundering scheme.
I was gonna say it's some money laundering scheme that Randy has cooked up. I don't know. Something terrible. So yeah, Borderlands 4, whatever.
Who cares?
Helldivers 2 wins best multiplayer game, which is deserved.
It also won best ongoing game or best support,
community support,
which that game had horrible community support.
Well,
and it came out this year.
I thought that's why I thought there's no chance that it would win, but it ended up winning because it had a moment where, first of all, you need your PlayStation account thing. They didn't like that, even though Helldivers team came out and said like we don't really like it either, but it is what it is. And then I think they got rid of it or some shit like that. And then they came out with an update where a lot of people didn't like that some weapons appeared to be nerfed. So everybody was like, that's a stupid and whatever. But then they came out and fixed that. So I could see it going both ways, but that was one where I was like, probably not that one. But it ended up winning.
Even the guy who went and accepted the award said, I wasn't expecting that.
I thought he was saying that just because of Snoop Dogg handing him a trophy. I think that's what he was referring to.
I like to think that he's like, I didn't deserve this one. But sure,
well, I guess
sure thing.
That one's up for debate.
But yeah, it winning best multiplayer too. Like, I think Call of Duty this year, I know I'm Call of Duty man. I think Call of Duty this year was really a step in the right direction.
Yeah, but
I also think Super Mario Party Jamboree is the best Mario Party.
Yeah, that was the one that I thought would that next to Helldivers was closest to win, but I did not think Call of Duty was in the running for that. Sorry.
Well, it's good.
It's
better than last year.
Right. If it was a measurement of betterness from the last game,
yeah,
undoubtedly.
Yeah.
But
I liked it.
Helldivers too, though, man.
I think this year I would have gone with Super Mario Party. Like, that was so fun.
Yeah.
It is the best. I've never played Helldivers 2.
It's really fun.
So
it's just PvE nonsense, blown up stuff, and it's just really, really well done in all areas.
Yeah, people compare it to Left 4 Dead a lot.
Yeah, right. I mean, you just drop in, play, do your thing, level up. Except Left 4 Dead, you don't do anything level up wise.
Yeah,
like you don't take anything out of the levels.
Game's quality.
Yeah, right.
My favorite announcement was Jeff Keighley comes out on stage and he says, I have an interesting surprise announcement that you would have never guessed from a famous RPG franchise. And it comes out and it's Clive from Final Fantasy 16.
Wait,
and you're like, oh my God.
Yeah, okay.
It's a new Final Fantasy expansion. Oh, he's fighting a guy on a 2D plane. Maybe they're making a fighting Final Fantasy game. Oh, it's Tekken. Oh, it's a DLC character for Tekken 8. That's your big stop the show.
Stop everything.
We have to talk about how Final Fantasy 16 is coming to Tekken 8.
As soon as they showed gameplay of it, I knew it wasn't a Final Fantasy game, or I knew it wasn't Final Fantasy 16 because it looked so weird and not as good as Final Fantasy 16. It's like, this has to be something. So I was not expecting that either. But yeah,
what a lame.
Stop the show. Anybody who's outside the venue, come inside. You got to see this.
They were playing it on the Sphere in Vegas.
Yes.
It was such a big moment that you can play as Clive in Tekken 8 now.
With Yakuza Like a Dragon stuff, they are making another, and it's called Project Century, but they said they have another one in development too. I really want to play the games. I don't know that this is even connected. I don't even know that it is a Like a Dragon game, but it looks exactly like one.
I think it is.
It's just called
I think
Project
they're all
Century.
in one giant universe at this point.
It's just so unapproachable at this point. It's crazy.
I want to. I mean, Jacob was talking about it. I want to start with 0 and just try it.
Yeah.
And like, if I don't like it, then forget the whole franchise. But like, if I try 0 and like it, then I could at least. I mean, that's like a lifetime's worth of content that I could be playing.
Right. Until you will. Well, that's the thing though, because it's like, let's say you catch up now, then you'll. Well, I guess you already do this, but you'll know that you'll be playing one game from this franchise every single year until you die. And I guess
there's a franchise I do that with. It's
so
called Call of Duty.
Yeah, so I guess you're already doing that. But that's just like a lifetime commitment. I don't know. It's just so.
It's very daunting to look at a game like that. Where like, if someone were to look at Resident Evil. And Resident Evil 9 should be announced in the next year. Like, looking at that, like, there's 9 games? Oh, and there's 20 other games? And it's like, well, you can just kind of jump in wherever you want.
Astrobot wins Best Game Direction. Astrobot won, I think, 3 or 4 awards tonight, which is super cool. Again, they're not an underdog, but it just feels good for, like, a solid, honest family game to win a bunch. And those guys that went up on stage, Team Asobi, they all seem like super cool dudes. So
and the guy who accepted it was like, turns around, he's like, you know what, I wasn't gonna say it, I like Mario.
Yeah, right.
It's like, wow, your platformer was influenced by Mario.
But it's cool that he said it. He didn't say he didn't say Nintendo. Very careful not to say that, but he's like, you know who I'm talking about?
But it's just funny that he prefaced it like that. Like, you know what? I'm going to do it. I'm going to say that I like Nintendo.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to say it for real.
You know, I wasn't planning on saying this, but I'm going to say it.
And everyone behind him's like,
don't do it. Yo.
The guy in the front, the guy who created PlayStation, the security guards had to rush him again to keep him off the stage.
Yeah, they had to
but
tackle him.
But this time it was violent.
They had to tackle him. But it's cool that they acknowledge that. But I'm glad that those guys won. I'm glad those guys won all the awards that they did.
One thing I liked was there were several categories that Astrobot didn't win. Like, it lost against Metaphor and a couple other games, but it comes back to win Game of the Year. That just shows, like, it might not have the best story, it might not have the best soundtrack and all these things, but it's just an honest, fun video game. And that's what it's all about. And it's nice to see something like that win, where it's just simple, where Baldur's Gate, of course, is another super video game, but like, that's such a hard barrier of entry that's not for everybody.
Sure. Yeah, anybody
where
can play
Astrobot's an
Astrobot.
everybody game.
Yeah.
And it's nice to see that.
I agree.
It's a game that I think years down the road, we'll look back at and be like, that was a good choice for Game of the Year. Where I look back and I'm going to be upset that Silent Hill 2 didn't win. But
yeah, that didn't win a single thing.
They teased me the whole damn time. I think there's a few other awards it was announced, or I don't know if Best Game Direction, maybe it wasn't nominated for that, but
I don't think so. It was definitely audio,
narrative,
performance,
score. Oh my! Just stop. Just don't even nominate it. If you're not going to win it, and that scares me to think, like, what if Konami sees that? They're like, all right, they don't like it. They don't like Silent Hill.
No, they don't care about the
Cancel
accolades. They care about the cash.
And it made a lot of cash.
Yeah.
According to the posts I saw from Konami, being like, it sold 10 million copies.
Oh,
it sold insanely well.
That's great. Good.
So, which Silent Hill Ascension, good thing that came out, because that won a lot of awards.
Was
too.
that the Choose Your Own Adventure?
Yeah, the worst
pay
game
to money
of all time. I've said enough about Silent Hill.
Yeah,
but
very fun. I'm glad that it made a lot of cash, because then it's more likely that we'll get a Silent Hill 1 remake, Silent Hill 3 remake.
I don't think we'll get another remake, unfortunately.
Oh, really?
I don't think so, because I think Bloober Team said, we're doing the 1. That's it. And then they're going to go make shit no one cares about. Which, it's like, you have the golden ticket of Silent Hill, the one of the biggest horror franchises ever. You're the horror studio. I like Silent Hill 1. I want to see Silent Hill 4 if they're going to remake another game, because that's the one that's like, the game doesn't hold up very well.
It's close
but
to
the
being
idea is cool.
It's close to being something good.
Or Silent Hill 3. Silent Hill 1, you know what? Harry.
It's already gotten remade, though.
Exactly. Shattered Memories. So we don't need it. Make Silent Hill 3. Nobody cares.
Yep.
Harry, look for Cheryl somewhere else, dude.
So they were showing a dinosaur game. Immediately I was like, Ark. And then they just slapped Turok on the screen for half a second.
I couldn't believe it.
Which was like,
this isn't Turok at
yeah,
all.
First I was like, let's go, it's Turok. And then they showed gameplay. And it's just generic third-person shoot a dinosaur. I don't know. hopefully it's good, but like that's not what Turok is. It's a first person. You're slowly crawling
Right.
through the jungle, and then you get jump scared by a velociraptor, and then you whack it with a stick, and then you kill it.
Yeah, it's like
Or
carnivores.
or you get a gun and you do some laser shooting, whatever.
Yeah, it's not like Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2, which is what Turok whatever looks
just looks generic as hell.
Yeah, and it's like
Sad.
the last time Turok came out, it sucked too in 2008. So they're bringing it back and it sucks again. It was like the
Oh,
reboot.
that's right. I forgot that even
So
existed.
bad.
Yeah.
And now they're like second chance at life, and it sucks again.
One very depressing part of the show was the Xbox commercial, which there were a few of, but there was one that said, "This is an Xbox." And they said, your phone is an Xbox. Your laptop is an Xbox. Your TV's an Xbox. Your Xbox, who cares about that? The real one, you don't need it. They couldn't have done a better job of selling people on not buying their console.
Mhm.
What the hell is the point?
They don't want you to buy that anymore because they want you to just stream everything.
Yeah.
That's the future of Xbox, where PlayStation has this like inherent level of like prestige to it, I think.
Yep,
Like the
they're
PS5.
like, this is the box. You buy it. Your games are in the box. That's it.
And Xbox is going the way of like a streaming service like Netflix. That's what Game Pass is, that they just want you, no matter where you are, no matter what your barrier of entry is, that you can play their games on their subscription service. And they fund cool, interesting stuff like Hellblade 2, but they don't care if you play it or not. They just want you to get Game Pass.
Yeah.
And then you can play Call of Duty.
Yeah, it's really sad, honestly, because I think about like the room of like 50 dudes that made the original Xbox when they're like, you know what, we're gonna give it a shot, and they gave it a fair shake, and then they made 360 and made a ton of cash and got a good rapport, and just since then it's just been down the drain.
And there was a point during the Phil Spencer era, of the beginning of the Phil Spencer era, where he was like bringing it back. Backwards compatibility was coming back with the 360 and everything.
After they kicked Don Matrick out.
Mm-hmm. And then soon after Series X came out, you could feel that they didn't care anymore because there was an interview that he did where they went into the fact that he's like, we lost the most important generation, which was the PS4, Xbox One era.
Because of your digital library.
Yep. That once you have that established, why would you ever switch? Because if you have all your games on PS4 digitally, you're not going to switch to an Xbox now where you have nothing. So you're going to stay with that console family forever. So maybe they're thinking of it like we're doing the best that we can, where you don't even need an Xbox anymore.
It's crazy. I don't know. I don't know the proper way to go anyway. Maybe they're doing it the right way. Maybe they've done the numbers and they're like, you know what? It's not salvageable. This is the way to go. But to me, it's like, I don't know. Like, it's Xbox. You got to have a box. You got to sell a box. And they don't sell a box. They just sell a thing that you put in any shape of box. This is a box. Sure.
You can play Xbox right there.
Yeah. This
play
is
Xbox on this.
Well, they're not even saying you can play Xbox on this. They're saying this is an Xbox. So they have diluted the definition of what their console even is to the point of there being no need to even buy it. Xbox doesn't even mean anything anymore.
Yep. And they pigeonholed themselves with the Series S. Right out the gate.
Yep. Which at first
they hurt
it
the
seemed
whole
appealing.
generation with that.
Yeah. At first it seemed appealing, where it's like, yeah, lower barrier of entry and blah blah blah. But it's like they should have said there's going to be Xbox Series S games and there's Series X games, but they said nope, it's got to work on both, or we're not letting you put it on our platform. So they screwed it up for everybody.
Screwed up for PlayStation too.
Yes.
Everybody got hurt from the Series S.
Yep.
So who knows if Xbox will even have a next generation console.
I don't think so, honestly. Like, they might have like a streamer box,
yeah,
but I don't think they're gonna have a console.
Like a Roku
streaming
streaming stick.
pretty much.
But also for the Game Awards, they didn't announce a Switch successor.
I was really expecting that. I thought that
would have been the coolest one last thing ever.
But really what it comes down to is they could drop a trailer or a video on YouTube and it'll have 18 million views in an hour.
Yeah, and they can control their message exactly the way they want to. Where
Right.
what if Jeff said, like, he said the name wrong, and then everyone was
Swinge.
They did it again. Fuck. And the PlayStation guy up front's like,
Very good. I don't even know if he
they'll
works
never
there
know
anymore.
what it is.
Yeah, I was surprised that they didn't announce it either, but they could just put it
They
on
announced
YouTube,
the Series X at the Game Awards 2019.
which was completely out of nowhere.
Yeah, blew my
Yeah,
mind.
I think it was like, oh, and we've got another video for you. Let's play it. They weren't just like, hold on to your butts. Yeah.
There was more
World
hype
premiere.
for Clive coming to Tekken.
You're right.
Was the Series
You're
X
right.
reveal.
How about that Post Malone jump scare?
I was like, why are you here? What is that? He's in a Hunt Showdown?
Yes, it's Post Malone's Carnival of Fun or something.
Some dumb shit.
I don't know, but it reminded me of the days of when like celebrities would be in Call of Duty commercials.
I was surprised Snoop Dogg didn't mention Call of Duty while he was out there. But
Yeah, that was funny. He's like, we got Death Row Games where his son was like, when we want to include diversity and tell black stories or whatever. But he also said we want to establish a hip hop gaming universe. To which I thought, what the hell does that
That's
mean?
Def Jam. It already exists.
Yeah, Def Jam New York or whatever.
Def Jam Vendetta.
Yeah, or Blood on the Sand, 50 Cent.
50 Cent Bulletproof.
Bulletproof.
Yeah, these universes already exist. He's got to just establish one.
So I don't know what hip hop gaming universe means, but
maybe Rock Band, but it's hip
maybe.
hop, like DJ Hero.
Yeah, I'm excited to see what that.
It's like it's like a Strand game. It's like I want to know what that means.
Stage Fright was the game from the Overcooked people.
That was such a fun trailer.
Yes.
I loved that.
Yeah, very cool. And actually when they showed gameplay, which was like for 10 seconds, it appears to be it's a co-op game and one person is in, like, you're both in the same world, but you're both in different versions of the world, I think. They didn't really explain it, but I'm intrigued by it and it looks kind of fun.
The trailer, I loved it. I'll never play the game. But I thought the trailer was really funny. Where it's like, it's coming from... Who are those guys?
Yes. Oh, that
I think I played Overcooked.
Yeah, that was fun.
So cool.
Yeah, I liked that.
It's that self-awareness.
Yes.
That was very prevalent in this show.
Oh, bringing it back to Bloodborne. I thought because Sydney Goodman was on stage and she said, "All right, hunters," and I was like, "Hunters?" But she was talking about Monster Hunter.
They know what they're doing. Sony knows what they're doing. I mean, when I saw that Elden Ring thing, all I thought was, we're not getting Bloodborne. Because here's the From Software thing. We're not going to get Bloodborne.
Bloodborne would get a lot of cash, but Elden Ring gets a lot more cash.
Why is Blue Point Games not remaking Bloodborne?
They might be. Well, actually, no. I think they're making their own.
They're making don't make your own shit. You exist to remake things.
Put
You're
them back in the dungeon.
Remakers ever.
Put them in the
remake
dungeon.
Bloodborne. Like, you remade Demon Souls, and it was awesome.
Yeah.
Demon's Souls. Like, come on, dude. Come on, dude.
No, I'm on your side, but they deserve to make their own game, for God's sake. No?
Remake Bloodborne, then do yours.
Okay.
Like, it's just so frustrating. Like, how much money do they need to do this? Like, honestly, if they would have come out, all right.
Here's Ben's plan.
One more thing, Jeff says, and it fades to black. And then it shows a PS5 home screen with the Bloodborne logo. And then it says update available. And the patch notes literally just say 60 FPS mode added. And that's the one last thing.
Still playing 900p or 720p.
I don't even care.
Yeah.
I just want it to run well. Dude, I'm in. I'm jumping back tonight.
Oh, same. I completely agree.
I'd buy the game again.
But
just have it.
But no.
But why not?
Don't ask me.
I don't get it. There has to be some legal thing holding them back.
That
it cannot make sense.
That, or I think From has to sign off on it or be involved in some capacity, and they want to do something else. But Sony owns that game partially, so you would think they could just be like, From, we got it. We're going to hand him over to our guy over here. We're going to take care of it, or something. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. Well, how do they own Demon Souls then? I would think it'd be a similar thing.
Well, it is, but they decided with that they're going to release it. So that maybe, I don't fucking know.
Miyazaki's like, well, I don't know if I want to do something.
That's what I'm saying.
I'll save it for later.
That's what I'm saying.
And Sony's like, but come on. And he's like, no.
Right. That's why I'm saying like From has to be the one holding it back, because Sony, I think, very easily could just be like, sure, whatever, fuck it.
What's insane was like last week, Miyazaki in an interview said, I have no intentions of making another Elden Ring. Like, there's no sequel that's going to come out. And then literally the next week, Dreadnought or whatever the hell the new game is coming out.
Fire Rain. Super Rains. Rain of...
Like, I don't know what's called. God. Like, to me, I look at that like I look at like Metal Gear Survive. Just like this, like, waste of time is how I look at.
You're saying that
Elden
now,
Ring
but
game.
watch it get nominated for Game of the Year next year,
And it'll win, I'm sure. I mean,
they didn't this
I
time.
look at that as a waste of development time. Like, that could have been an expansion for Armored Core 6 or something else. Like,
the people love Erdtree. It's like the most accessible baby's first Dark Souls run around on a horsey thing, and now you got a bird that you can fly
you
around.
heard
on.
of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order?
Yeah,
That's a baby Souls game.
that too. Yeah. Star Wars Outlaws also. I don't know if it got nominated for anything, but I actually do want to play it. Like, and it got really trashed on, but it still looks like a solid, fun-ish enough game.
I think it did get nominated for something, but it definitely didn't win.
No.
Like, that's one of those games where it's like, I forgot that came out this year, and it came out like 2 months ago.
It was like $35 or something with the 50% off that they were offering for the Game Awards. And I almost picked up Silent Hill 2 because it was like $52 or $53. So I almost got that. It was like 30% off.
Did you see how much Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League was on sale for? $5.
No.
And they looked at the Steam numbers after they did that. No one played it.
Oh my gosh.
Like, it didn't even change the player count. Nobody
That's
cares.
crazy.
It's such
Made
just
by
a disaster.
Rocksteady.
Like, that's like an all-time just horrible game release. Like, studio ruining game release.
Yeah.
Like, that I feel like was another boardroom decision of, okay,
100%.
we have this IP that we have access to, Suicide Squad, which has never taken off in any capacity.
No.
Like, Suicide Squad is cursed to never be
well,
successful.
The movie that James Gunn came out with called The Suicide Squad, which is supposed to cancel out the last one, which is just embarrassing in its own right. That one did decently well enough.
Or I thought it like reviewed well, but it still didn't like. It's never going
to. It didn't make a
to,
ton
like,
of cash.
A Batman or
Right.
anything like that.
Yeah.
So it's like they take this IP that's already doomed, and they do a mediocre hero shooter style game instead of what Rocksteady does, which is super cool, like investigative combat string, awesome games. And they just you shoot. And you shoot glowing orbs, and you get points, and then the Joker comes, and he says a funny thing, and you move on.
Yeah, and then you get points to put on modifiers to increase your weapon speed by 0.05%. Like, that is what that game is. Loot box kind of bullshit.
I wonder if Rocksteady is going to close down from it, or if they do make something else, if it'll be more back to the vein of Batman, if it'll be something totally different.
So.
I don't think it'll be an Arkham game.
I think they're cooked. Sorry,
they're overcooked.
Yeah, I don't think so. I think either they're closing up shop, or I know not most, but a bunch of people have already left, like original Rocksteady guys. So if it does exist, it's going to be like BioWare, where it's like, we're BioWare, but not really. We're just wearing a skin suit that looks like BioWare.
Yeah, and no Mass Effect today either.
I thought that's what the one last thing was for a second because of the colors, but then I remembered that Jeff said it's a new game. So I didn't think that was either.
I don't really get, I mean, this is pretty lame of me, but I don't really get excited for new IPs very often. It's like, I just want sequels to things that I like a lot of the time.
I think this new Naughty Dog game is probably going to be super good.
I'm sure it'll be amazing. I have no doubt that I'll love it when it comes out. Like, as far as like the kind of game I want from day to day, it's first party narrative heavy Sony games. So this is right up my alley. That's my favorite kind of game other than survival horror, which is Silent Hill 2 for
me. Player's voice. So this is the voting thingy. Black Myth Wukong took that.
I'm not surprised from how much positivity I hear about that. And there were a lot of people like, it's good that this is not what happened, where it's like, oh, Elden Ring's gonna win, Stellar Blade's not gonna be like nominated for anything, Black Myth Wukong's gonna totally get skipped over. It's like, no, Black Myth Wukong won several awards. Stellar Blade was nominated, and Elden Ring won nothing.
Yes, which again, I just kind of like, but I'm not. I'm not an enemy of Elden Ring, but
Miyazaki hater.
Yeah, I mean, no, I love the dude. But I kind of was happy that it didn't win anything because it was just so preposterous in the first place that it got nominated.
Exactly. Like last year, where was Cyberpunk Phantom Liberty? If you want to like set that precedent.
Yeah, nonsense.
Like, no.
Yeah, make a DLC category, you fuckers. Metaphor won Best Narrative, but that was presented by Sam Lake. That dude is just awesome.
I love him.
Wasn't that so great? He's just so cool and fun and
dude.
great.
You gotta play Alan Wake 2.
Yeah, I assumed
It's
that was.
the best.
I assumed that little black and white him talking to himself was Alan Wake 2.
Yes.
Okay.
Because in Alan Wake 2, Max Payne is basically in the game, but they don't have the rights to Max Payne, so they can't call him Max Payne. But they use Sam Lake's likeness as him. And the voice actor was Max Payne's voice actor, who passed away, unfortunately, after Alan Wake 2 came out. But, like, I love him so much. And, like, I feel like Alan Wake 2 was him being able to fully, like, flex his creative muscles and, like, do something just so weird and crazy where Control doesn't really do that. And, like, just be weird and fun. And it's so good. And it should have won again the next year.
End of the show, they're playing Linkin Park.
I wrote that too.
Yeah.
But they played him off. They're like, play
it was really loud when he was talking to. He's like,
"Thanks,
guys, appreciate it. Can you turn it down a little bit? Appreciate it.
This is
Thank
my
you."
big moment where I say it's so fun that the last thing he says is the date for the next show. It's like December 11th, 2025.
But then he said like it'll be our 12th live show.
Yeah.
What does that mean?
He can't count.
Because maybe they've done a live Summer Games Fest. Maybe that's what he's talking about.
No, he is right. I just did the math. If 14 was the first one, then it would be 12.
But he said this is the 10-year anniversary.
Yeah.
So how can how can next year
if you do
be 12?
14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, it is the 12th one.
But it's 10 years.
But you can't start from one. Dude,
Oh.
you can't start from 0. You got to start from 1.
Oh, that's confusing.
I thought the same.
He should have
thing.
put a chart on screen to break it down for me.
All right, let's put it.
Yeah. I get it now. No Resident Evil 9.
Exactly. That's one of my big ones. Is I don't know, like based on leaks and everything, that game is like 5 years in development. And also, one thing I noticed is with that, I think it was the Onimusha game. No, it was the Okami. It's being directed by the Resident Evil 7 director, who is also directing Resident Evil 9, which they have said.
Oh, yeah.
So it's like it is. I guess Okami 2 is not in active development right now. They also said they're like it's about to begin production,
right?
And it's like,
so,
oh my god,
yeah, that's
why
we're
are
not
we
going
talking
to. Yeah,
about
that we're not
right
going to see for 5 years. A lot of Capcom presence at this show, though.
Yeah,
like Okami and Onimusha and Monster Hunter and something else. I'm sure
Resident Evil 9 was the big one that we know exists.
Yes,
that they refuse to do anything.
No matter how many letters
obviously.
you write to Capcom headquarters, they aren't responding to.
It's so funny, but like. With franchises like Silent Hill that were gone for forever, that I'm like, please just give me anything. Resident Evil, that we've been spoiled with how much good Resident Evil we've gotten since 2017. Yep. And it's been a year since the DLC for
where's my new
Resident
game?
Evil 4 came out. It's like, I don't see Resident Evil 9. Where's Resident Evil 9 then?
Where is
so
it?
Good. I don't see it.
I guess we can be upset about Resident Evil 9, but I think that kind of wraps up the show. Overall, good show. Jeff did a great job. Astrobot winning, really great. Yep. Kind of swept most of the show. Honestly.
That's the best way it could have ended.
Yeah. Thanks for hanging out with us. That's the show. That was the Game Awards. A little longer episode than usual, but that's what we got to do when you got to get your stuff done.
Yeah. So. Maybe Game Awards 2025, Bloodborne 2 coming out. It'll win Game of the Year.
It'll be out by then.
I'm sure.
We'll have
Bloodborne 3 will get teased at the end. That'll be the one more thing.
Yes, the one more thing. It'll be in like a screen in the game that they're showing, like in the Naughty Dog game. She was watching like an anime in her ship, but that'll just be Bloodborne 2.
It's Jeff on screen. Like, hold on, pause this.
One thing in the thing.
More thing.
Right. So until then, thanks for hanging out with us. That's Ultra Game Bros. We'll see you next time.
See ya.